Hey guys, and welcome to episode 16 of Business Shet. I am your host, Mimi G, and today's episode is Catch Up and See You in 2019. So today's episode is sort of a mishmash of different things because this is the last episode of the year. So we won't be back until January, so you'll just have to do without me for a couple of weeks. But I'm super excited for a lot of reasons. One is I just really, honestly, am so grateful for the amount of growth that Business Shet has had, how well it's been received, how much you guys have supported it and shared it. I get emails and messages and tags on IG all the time from people who are thanking other people for putting them on Business Shet, and that's like really cool. To date, we've had, last I checked, which was a couple of days ago, 89,000 listeners so far. And so that's like amazing. And, so this is episode 16. So I guess this is the end of the first season, and we'll come back with season 2. We've had a lot of really great episodes in season 1. I mean, the two most popular have been Stop Talking About You Broke, where I talk about changing the connection between your brain and your relationship to money, and how changing that will change your entire life. And then I think the most popular one was It Ain't Always Peaches and Cream. It can be sometimes flies and shit. So that episode was really popular too. And I think it's because, well, it could be a mix of things. One is that I sort of didn't hold back in that episode, really because, if we're being 100% real here, we know that there are a lot of people who give out some business information, give you, I've talked about people who give you fluff to try to get you, to buy something. And then even when you buy it, still just more fluff. And I think that episode is really where I talk about, what it takes to be an entrepreneur and really checking yourself to see if you have, what it takes. To date, we have over 275 reviews, 5 stars on iTunes. It's not counting all the other platforms that we're currently on. So I'm just really thankful. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. And I know that for season 2, we're just going to have a lot more stuff. I hope that you guys have been sort of going back, especially if you're new to the podcast. I know that some people are starting, at episode 13 or 14 or whatever. But I think it's really important, even if you're not a business owner, for you to start at the very beginning. Because I think in every episode we had a lot of, really great information. We talk about passive income and multiple streams. In episode 4, we talk about, are you going along to get along, which is something I did for a really long time, letting other people's ideas and opinions about what you should be doing with your life, have control over what you do. We talked about social media and how you're probably doing the shit wrong. We talked about having patience and how that really sucks ass, but it's something that you need to sort of develop. We talked about having confidence, which is really hard to do, especially on social media, where everybody facetunes and everybody posts, fake ass pictures of jets they don't own, in cars that they don't own, living lives that aren't theirs. It's really hard to be confident and to still have, a perspective that maybe doesn't go along with what everybody else is posting and sharing. Episode 10, I think was really different. That was the episode where I sort of got really, really personal. It had something to do with business, because I think everything that I do, whether it's my personal life, is connected to how I run my business. And if I'm not healthy mentally and emotionally, I can't be healthy in my business life either. And episode 10, I think, was where I really just let you guys in to, share some of the really awful, horrific things that have happened to me after my trip from Chicago, how I sort of had some revelations about all of that. And really how I just don't let it change who I am now, right? I don't let it drive my life. I know that episode resonated with so many of you, which is really fantastic to see, and also really sad at the same time, because what it did for me was it gave me a great sense of sort of this connection that I had to so many listeners that emailed me and messaged me. It let me see that my story was helping people, that my story was giving a voice to other people, that my story was giving other people courage to talk about what had happened maybe in their lives. The sad part was to see how many of us, women specifically, have gone through some form of domestic violence or sexual abuse or homelessness. And that was really sort of eye-opening because there's a saying that everybody has a story, right? We all know that everybody has a story. But when you sort of are sent those stories and you get to read through those stories, it helps you feel less alone. But then also part of a group that you don't necessarily want so many people to be a part of. You know what I'm saying? So that was a really interesting episode. Episode 11 was about size doesn't matter, where I talked about sponsorships. That was a really good episode. I got a lot of really great feedback. Also, mostly because people, especially in the blogging sort of influencer world, don't want to tell you how to work with sponsors. I don't know if they think that because they tell you how to work with a sponsor that the damn sponsor is not going to want to work with them anymore. I don't know what people's hang up is. But I truly believe that the more I give, the more I get back. And so, I wanted to make sure that every episode that I do gives you actual usable information and not a bunch of bullshit. We also did a Q&A, which I thought was really cool. And I think I'm going to do maybe a couple more episodes of that in season 2, where we can sort of go through a bunch of different questions, because I get so many that it's almost impossible to get through, any size amount by doing one or two every episode. So I think just having an episode where I do nothing but questions, that was really helpful. You guys really like that. Because I think sometimes people ask us a question that you maybe were afraid to ask or didn't think to ask. But when somebody else asks it, then you're sort of like, oh yeah, I want to know that too. Speaking of the sponsorship episode, I came back right after that and I did a second episode on I'm gonna need you to get paid, because I really needed people to understand that you have power in what you're doing, especially if you're an influencer or you're in some form of social media something. And to really stop playing yourself. And that episode was really about that. Just stop playing yourself, realize your value and know how to approach the people that you want to work with. And then we did, last week we did Mind Your Money, where I talked about the awful experience I had with the I, the R, and the S. And, all the things that I learned from that. And that was a really good episode. I got a lot of messages about that. Because, again, people don't really give information, which is, I think, why Business Shet has been so widely received and well received, because people just don't tell you this. And I just honestly, like I said before, I feel like the more I share, the more I get back. And, giving you information doesn't in any way hurt me. So we have had a lot of really amazing things, like I said, in this season. And for season 2, I'm going to delve more into the structure of a business. So sort of talking about LLCs versus incorporating or being a sole proprietor. We're going to talk about pricing yourself, pricing your products. We're going to talk more about money. We're going to talk more about setting businesses up. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. Also, some more sort of self-help, encouraging, motivational type topics. So I have a lot coming your way. And of course, I love your guys' email. So even though I don't necessarily get a chance to respond as often as I would like to, I do hope that you guys will send in more emails. Let me know what you want me to talk about. Like, fill me in on whatever it is that's in your head that maybe I've missed. Because let's be honest about something. Even in the DIY world, when I do a tutorial, when I'm doing something, things that I know because I've done them for so long, to me, sometimes seem too simplistic to share. And I'm like, maybe that's not good enough, or maybe that's not enough information, or maybe it's not important enough to share. And what I've come to realize is that some things that I might not think are super important, you guys really want to know about, or somebody is curious about. So I'm sure there's a lot of things that skip my brain that you guys want me to talk about. So feel free to send me a message. You guys know the email, businessshet@gmail.com. And if you're watching on YouTube, please don't leave your questions in the comments. It's impossible. It's impossible, you guys, for me to comment on every social media platform. I try to do as many as I can, but honestly, it's just too many. So if you have questions, email them, all right? Just make sure and do that. All right, so I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a catch up on what's going on. November has been, oh my God, like a whirlwind. So my birthday was November 5th, and, I had an amazing day. Norris always goes above and beyond for birthdays, anniversaries. I mean, really every day, he's just special like that. But the birthday sort of started and then it never ended because we ended up going to Puerto Rico, sort of on an unexpected trip. And that was amazing because I went back home to Puerto Rico after 24 years of not being there, which meant I hadn't seen my family, my dad and my grandparents, my aunts, my cousins, everybody, in 24 years. And that was super special. Like, I hope you guys, if you follow the blog at Mimi G Style, I wrote a post on sort of that whole trip, and I even did a video on the YouTube channel, sort of recapping everything that we did. For me, it was really important and really a special time because Norris got to meet my father and my grandparents, who are, now in their late 80s and early 90s. And it was just the most amazing time. I didn't even want to leave. Like, I just wanted to stay in Puerto Rico. It was so great. And then right after we left Puerto Rico, it was like the day before Thanksgiving. I went, shopping. We got what we needed. I cooked. We ate Thanksgiving. We packed on Black Friday. And we were gone again on Saturday for a 7-day cruise, which I'm going to do a video about that, about the whole cruise thing, because that was an interesting experience. But I think I'll save that for another YouTube video. We had an amazing time, but the one thing that I will share that if you don't already know from Instagram or my blog or whatever, that during that cruise, Norris proposed, so your girl is engaged, okay? And so that was amazing. Totally unexpected. I'm gonna talk about that in a YouTube video too, because that whole moment was like just amazing and totally unexpected, and it was just over the top. For me anyway. What I learned later was that during that visit in Puerto Rico, he asked my father for my hand in marriage, which I thought was just like, I mean, who does that anymore? Anyway, it was just amazing. So that just made me feel really great. My dad loved him. And so we got back from the cruise, and we have another trip that we need to go on. And then it's like a little more work, and then I'm shutting it down, taking a couple weeks to just sort of rest and regroup and start, planning for 2019, which we have already started doing. We have amazing things that are happening in 2019, and we are so thrilled about it. So I wanted to come on today and wish you guys the most amazing holiday. I hope you guys spend the time not just shopping, but really enjoying your friends and your family, and planning for the new year. Listen, I'm not really big on New Year's resolutions because honestly, I think if you can't do that shit today, starting today, you're just not going to do it. So setting yourself up for, January 1st, I'm going to do this diet or whatever. If you can't start that shit tomorrow, your ass ain't starting in January, okay? So if you want to start doing something, just start now, okay? Start today. And so because of that, I'm not going to tell you to, actionable to do for January. I'm going to give you an actionable to do for right the hell now, okay? So this is what I want you to do. If there is something that you want to do for the next year, start planning it now. Start working on it now. You want to go into the new year already prepared. You don't want to start preparing January 1st. You want to go into the new year already, okay? So whatever list you need to make, if you need to go back and listen to every freaking episode of Business Shit, then go back and listen to every single episode. Do all the homework. Listen to all the actionable to-dos and spend some time catching up on those books that I mentioned. And I don't know what episode that was, but it's one of those episodes. You guys will find it. And really start preparing for the life that you want in 2019, right? So that's the actionable to do. Stop waiting till next year to give yourself some false date about what you're going to do, and just start planning it now, okay? Enjoy your friends and your family, and really take account of all the amazing, wonderful blessings that you have in your life every day, because no matter what your circumstances are, and I promise you, I am the absolute poster child for that exact scenario. Your circumstances in your past have absolutely not a damn thing to do with what you can do for your life. Even if you find yourself in a really shitty ass position right now, or in a really bad place, or in a really bad relationship, or whatever it is, in a sucky ass job, nothing that is going on in your life right now has anything to do with what you can accomplish if you really want it for yourself. And I talk about that shit in every episode of the podcast. So make sure and fill yourself with nothing but inspiration and motivation and goodness. I want you guys to have an amazing rest of the year, and I will see you guys in 2019. And remember, guys, that in order for your business to succeed, it has to be the shit. It needs to solve a problem, help them get past their current stage. It needs to earn respect and build trust. I'm out.